Hello everyone, thank you for joining today's enablement session. In this presentation, I'll walk through the new features and enhancements delivered in Nakisa Lease Accounting 2025 R3 release. For each topic, I will explain what the feature is, why it matters, and how it can be applied to your daily business scenarios. Before we go in-depth videos and enablement of the features, I'd like to give you an overview of what's coming in 2025 R3 for enhancements, capabilities, and UI UX changes. Base lease indexation, we are giving you the option of editing the base indexation value for CPI, global or local. Cash incentive, if you have new cash incentive received after a contract has been initiated, new concept of end of term intentions to be included, intercompany transfer between the two company codes within a system, form management is something new, profile consolidation, which will help you in creation of one profile to be used by multiple users. And then in the UI UX enhancements, we have RU end date calculation, providing you an option of default value, which can be edited for fair market value and salvage value. And as requested, for reporting purposes for disclosure reports, we have all systems. High impact mass jobs are also giving you a pop-up when your jobs have a higher volume. Next, we have finance, Nakisa Finance Core new capabilities. In the general vouchers as well as the general ledger, the UI UX has been completely enhanced for your better user experience, as well as providing you now the option of having an automated or a manual reversal of a journal voucher under a general ledger module. The first topic we'll cover is editing base indexation input. This enhancement is allowing users to decide the starting point for indexation calculations. We have provided this by giving you the editability of base and reference indexation rates and date beyond the inception. So now users can update these fields during an activation group event. For example, terms and condition reassessment, which improves alignment with your real-world indexation practices. So previously, indexation could only start from a predefined point, limiting the flexibility. So now you can adjust and align calculation to specific business cases that you may have. How is it used? At inception, indexation fields are editable rate and date for the base indexation, whereby it was blocked post-indexation. So now during an activation event, for example, with terms and conditions, you can adjust these values for unexercised terms. So we have provided you free entry and drop-down selection depending type of the CPI that you're using in that contract. The difference will vary for global and local, which will be showed to you in a demo. Mass modification will support these updates, whereas the mass indexation will not. So the first example I'll be presenting you is how an extension term is exercised after inception and how we'll be able to change the base indexation date. So this is at inception. We can see we have a contract that starts on January 1st, 24 to December 2025. And we can come on the accounting tab and we'll see that we had selected CPI Global, whereby we had reference date of January 1st, 2024. Looking at the terms and conditions, we have exercised a base rent for $10,000. Now the user has come and created a first event where they have indexation. So coming on the modification date, we had on March 1st, 2024, a modification applied, which was just to run indexation and change the reference date now to March 1st, and the rate is getting picked up automatically to 135, which was selected on the FOS, which is coming from FOS. So now if we come and see on terms and conditions and we are looking at our terms, we'll see that the indexation was applied and the base indexation rate is still the same, whereas the reference rate has been changed. So now when we want to run a second event, which is exercising the term, which is right here, so we will see that we want to select the likely to exercise toggle for the base rate in the next draft I'm going to show you, but we will change the base indexation rate not to be March 1st, 2024, but instead 1st March 2024, 1st January 2024. So I'm here in a draft that I had created, and we have selected the modification date to be actually April 1st, 2025. And if I come on the accounting tab, we will see that the reference date for that is 150. Now I need to change the base rate. So if I come on terms and conditions, and now we have provided you a pen icon which you can click means to modify. And you can see we have the option to select the base indexation date, not the rate, because again the rate is coming from FOSS, but you have the option now to change the base indexation date. So you can select it to be March 1st, or you can select to be January 1st, 2024. It's an option. You cannot change the reference and indexation date, but you can change the date for CPI Global when the indexation type is that has been selected. So that's one example. The other example I would like to show is when you're selecting CPI local, and I want to show the same example. I've selected the type of the term is 24 months, and the same dates were applied, except now we have chosen the CPI local. So it's 115 CPI local when the contract was initiated. A similar indexation event was run on March 1st, whereby the rate was changed to 150. And now I have an unexercised term here. If you can see, same thing, $10,000. Now I need to apply indexation to this. Since it's CPI local, we'll be able to change now we have the same date for modification. And if I come and show you that this is the reference date and the reference indexation amount that we have put the current indexation level. And if I come on terms and conditions and I'm selecting the pen icon and exercising it, I have the option to change the indexation based rate and the date as it's CPI Global, and you can select it on the UI itself. So that's how we have given you the option of modifying the input for the base indexation rate and date for CPI local, whereas just the CPI base indexation date when you are selecting CPI global type. The next topic is cash incentive post inception. So what is it? Now we're supporting adding non-lease cash incentives even after the contract inception has been initiated. So users can now enter and exercise cash incentive during lease modification events, enabling better support for real-world business scenarios like midterm renegotiations or renewal bonuses. Why have we done it? Customers sometimes frequently receive cash incentives a midterm. For example, if you're doing a renewal and a landlord is providing you an incentive, buyout, or downtime compensation. So functional coverage in line is now with cash incentive with customer needs and accounting standards. How is it used? At inception, a logic remains unchanged. That is, you can enter the date for the term for cash incentive as long as it's same as the ROU start date. Post inception, user can create these component events to add the cash incentive term and exercise it at the activation group event now. So cash incentive date must be matching to the activation modification date. That's key to remember when using this new feature. So new accounting logic post now to ROU asset instead of incentive clearing accounts. I'll show you an example. In this demo, I'll show you how we can add a cash incentive post inception. So at the lease component, we have inception, a 12-month period where we had from Jan 1st, 2025 to December 31st, 2025. I have 12 payments for base rent, and I had a cash incentive for $2,000 on Jan 1st, 2025. And I ran an event whereby I ran it on March 1st, and I want to add this cash incentive term for $1,500. So I've added an event at the lease component. We go down to the activation group, and then we see our active status is where we have the initial terms of inception right now, which are these two terms. And now I ran a draft where I want to see the terms with activation being toggled on for the likely to exercise the cash incentive for March 1st. So I ran a modification on March 1st, and my term is also starting on that date for cash incentive for March 1st. And if I come and see the $1,500, if I come on my schedules, I'll be able to see that it has been added in the incentive non-lease payment for $1,500, as well as reducing my asset by $1,500. So we have provided you this feature now whereby you can add the cash incentive post inception of a contract. Managing end of term intentions. The next topic we have brought in is showing us how a new field is added now in end of term intention, which allows organizations to record the intent as well as take the right action and track decisions for leases that are approaching the ROU end date. It introduces fields for contractual end of term notice period, date, and intention, internal notifications period, and the UI component to prompt timely action, which will reduce compliance risk. So why we have done it, as we mentioned, it's to bridge the gap between your system behavior and your real world lease process at the end of term for your leases. So reduce missed lease action and unintended rollover cost in case you don't meet the intention indicated to the lessor on time. Improve auditability and lease life cycle. So how is it is used? We have introduced also enforce end of term determination, which determines the internal notice period in days for the end of the term management per company code. So for contracts in Lease Accounting Suite that do not have an end of term intention set at the activation group level, the user will receive a notification for each configured internal notice period set in the FOS prior to the contractual end of term date defined in the activation group. So I will give you an example on the demo on the UI itself. Before that, just want to mention one more thing, that the system will also have automatically select the intention field to casualty, for the purchase will be purchased, as well as end of term would be returned. So first I'd like to show you on the financial org structure that we have. And first we have a new account determination that has been added for the end of term determination. And in the example that I'm displaying you now, we have a company code 1000 where I have added an end of term mapping for 15 days. So a user can simply come here, click on the plus icon, and they can add the number of days that they would like to have. And they can save it and thereby linking it as well to the company code. So if there is no end of term contract, end of term intention shown on the activation group, I'll show you right now how that looks, and then the link between the two that we have here for the mapping configured on FOS. So here's an example that I'm showing that we have an end of term. I created a sample here whereby I have a contract that expires in 1 year, Jan 1st, 25 to December 31st, 25. And there was nothing selected at the lease component level for the contractual end of term date and period, but we still give you the option of doing it at the activation group, as it may differ for multiple AGs that a lease component might have. So this contract, as I mentioned, is for 1 year. And if I look at the terms, I have exercised only a base rent, which ends on December 31st. Therefore, on the definition tab, during the inception, we can see automatically it defines a natural lease end. So the contractual end of term date has been entered as December 31st because it's a natural lease that's ending. And now if I want to put 30 days, you will see the number of days that it has a contractual end of term date, it is going to change. So as I've just shown you on the FOSS that if there is no to be determined entered like this as an example, we will see that what happens is that the user will receive notifications based on what has been configured on FOSS as a reminder to make a decision what is the intent for the end of the term when it's expiring. So if a user has put 15 days, then the contract notification will be sent 15 days prior to the contractual end of term date. In this example, if it's 0, you're going to receive a notification 15 days before the end of contractual end of term date given here. And if you put the date, number of days here, you're going to receive 15 days prior to the contractual end of term a notification saying that please make a decision on your intent of this expiring contract. So now if I show you terms and conditions, if I exercise the purchase option that I have placed in here for September 30th, automatically the system puts an purchase option end of term for you. So that's how we can use the contractual end of term period. It may or may not be defined on the UI, but you also have an option of determining the end of term intentions, number of date notification that you would like to receive on the FOSS. Intercompany transfers, a new function that is a job wait feature which will allow users to move the objects, the contracts, from one company code to another within the same ERP system, whereby it will re-recognize it under the new target entity while terminating under the original. Why have we done it? Large organizations often need reorganization of the legal entities and internal reorgs. So we have previously it was transfer requiring a bit of manual adjustments, and now it can be done seamlessly. It will also enable cross-entity compliance with IFRS 16 and ASC 842. How is it used? Before we commence on that, I'd like to highlight a few items that are prerequisites that need to be kept in mind when performing intercompany transfer. Under the intercompany transfer, we have to make sure the FOSS configurations have been correctly configured before we can proceed with how to perform the intercompany transfer. So under the FOSS, we want to make sure in the general settings on the main menu, under the general settings, we have configured or enabled the intercompany transfer. So we have the option of either enabling it or disabling it. So we want to make sure we have enabled for transfer under one system, because in phase 2 we will bring on intercompany transfer between the ERP system. For this is for enabling transfer between the same ERP system. So this must be configured on under the general settings first. Secondly, we have lease account determination, whereby there's a new mapping that is required now. What is intercompany payable receivable? The lease account, lessee account mapping has to be configured and assigned a general account. So for each type of different lease classification type for the each company code. So for example, I'm showing you the company 1000. So this will be required to be configured for both the companies, the target company and the old company, which is transferring the contract to the new target company. So the configurations must be set for the lease account determination for both the companies. Also has to be kept in mind that we must have the same group contract and the company currency for the contract. They should have in the same lease area, the same configurations in order for you to transfer the contract successfully from one to the other. There are validations put in place for you to transfer the intercompany transfer. So on the UI sample that I had prepared was for intercompany test was a contract that is for 1 year. It's a fixed contract, and we will see that the terms are showing that they have 12 months in the payment term. So when I'm ready, all the postings have been done up until a certain point, and I have decided that I need to transfer out this contract from the existing company code to a new company code within the same ERP system, and keeping in mind all the prerequisites I had mentioned. The user will be able to come and run this mass modification job. So by clicking on the main menu, under the batch management, we have a new item here called intercompany transfer. Upon clicking this, you'll be able to create and run a job. So for example, I had run something similar like this. So user will come clicking on the plus icon, and as a mentioned here, it's an early access of the intercompany transfer job. We will have different phases for it coming up in the future releases. So you can do batch size up to 10 contracts at a time. You can assign a name right here. It's only available for a lessee principal position, and a transfer date will be selected for a contract whereby all the postings have been already made for all these contracts that are included in this job. If you click on this early access job information, it tells you in detail about the intercompany transfer early access notice, basically telling you it's only allowed for 10 contracts, system to system transfer are not currently supported. Once a job is started, it cannot be cancelled. Reporting capabilities are still in progress, but we will have them transferred in the disclosure reports in the new company codes that is available already. All the journals, as I mentioned, must be made or posted up to the transfer date for internally for those activation groups. So the intercompany will get blocked off, or it will skip the any drafts that you may have for the contracts in the master agreement and lease component and activation group. These are the contract. So you can see that the master company codes has a company code defined, then it will also get blocked. It will not perform the transfer. So post-transfer considerations that the source object or the original contract in the original company will remain active status after the transfer has been done. But you have to keep in mind that the user must complete the lease end and close workflow transition in the old company code or the old contract under the old company code once you have confirmed the transfer was successfully completed. So please validate your selections carefully before proceeding to this batch job. So this is just the notice for you to read, reminder what these steps are. So as I said, you can copy and contract up to 10 contracts right here. And once the user selects add, it's going to create an Excel file, which is ready for you to download, and it's in pending user input. So once you download the file, you'll be able to add and select modifications in terms of what different cost centers, if you want to assign the company code you want to assign. So if I show you quickly an example, you'll be able to see it here. So once you download that Excel document I showed you on the intercompany job transfer job, you'll be seeing that we have three different tabs, and then you will be modifying the cells that you would like to change. So for example, the most important one in this case is that the old company code is 1000 and we have to assign a new company code. So user will be able to enter the required field in the red columns here, and that's the only change I want to make right now. And then you'll have to absolutely assign a cost center allocation here as of now. So even if it's the same cost center, I would like to add it and bring it here in the display ID. And if it's a different cost center, you may enter a different cost center. If it's not the same, it does not really matter. You can have different cost centers, as well as you need to provide the allocation if it is multiple or 100%. So once you have entered all these changes, so you can add the contract notification email address as well. So once you have entered all this information, you'll simply save it and re-upload just like you do any other lease mass modification in the current solution. So once a user has populated and saved the Excel file, you'll be able to upload the input file and start the intercompany transfer. Once it gets initiated and it's completed, on the right columns, right side of the screen, you'll see the intercompany transfer task. If it's completed, it will fall under the done category in the column right here. And then you'll be able to see on the UI that the contract has physically moved from the contract level up to the activation to the new company code. So it will be reflected in the disclosure report, the CTR report. It will show in the correct company code now. It is not just the units that gets transferred, it's the whole contract from the contract to the activation group until the units, everything gets transferred. So now you can see that it identifies at the lease component, contract, and the activation group the all activation ID. It also mentions transferred to, which is the contract ID, lease component ID, as well as the activation. So you'll be able to see that I made in this sample on the UI was done for modification date on September 1st, and then the description means the type of the lease remains as is, even if the term size has gone shorter. We'll see in the terms and conditions that the term has fallen for 4 months, and the postings will be keeping in mind all the transfers for the contract currency, the group currency, and the company currency, as well as we'll see here on the UI that you will be able to see the entries for the transferred to. So when you click on transfer to, it brought me to the new lease component ID here, which was transferred from the original. We can see the auditability as well as we can trace it down. So it's easier for users to find the old and the new contract. We'll see the terms and conditions. Now we only have 4 months. And if I come on my terms, I'll see that I have actually 4 periods left, not 4 terms. I meant 4 periods, and I'm able to do posted transactions right here. So now if the user needs to actually revert the intercompany transfer, even though you have made a posting, the user has the option to revert um, the job. So you can see here the icon appears here for the revert job when it's available, that if you click on this, it's going to revert the whole intercompany transfer that was initiated and completed. That means the new contract, lease component, and the activation group will be completely wiped off and deleted from the new target company code. Why so? Because we are right now only capable of reverting. The date for revert is same as the transfer date. That's why it's the same open period. That's why we 100% remove it, and you will not be able to see it. As well as if you do a lease modification on that contract on the new company code, the target entity, you will not be able to revert it. If it's a closed period, that means a month later or 2 after you realize that you want to revert the intercompany transfer job, you'll be unable to do so as well. So this is how we perform the intercompany transfer. And as I said, you'll be able to see the transfer from and to on the banner for each of the contract, lease component, and activation IDs. Form management, allowing users to tailor NLA objects to your needs. So in NLA admin section now, administrators are empowered to create and manage user-defined groups or fields. These user-defined fields are distinct from financial critical fields and managed solely by the administrators. The UDFs fields can also be configured with the ERP field mapping to be sent to your SAP system, ERP system, if you are connected. As well, if you're disconnected, you will have the text to be exported into CTR and whereby you can upload to your ERP system. Users have the flexibility to define the user-defined field under different entities, which is our master agreement, contract, lease component, and activation group, as well as the units. This will allow giving you the functionality for the users to configure the UDF setting for each company type, entity, and a business area as well as lease area, whereby you can be facilitating customization according to your specific needs. So how is it used? Admin will be able to create under the admin section of NLA for user-defined field or called form management. Under each object, you will have the option of creating a tab, which will be visible on the UI, and you will have section underneath whereby you will have fields assigned on it as well. The different data types that can be used, it can be mandatory or open status, whereby you can make modifications in it as a requirement when you're doing a lease modification, as well as provide clear captions on it. The user-defined fields underneath an object, if you have multiple of them being assigned on tabs, you are able to simply drag and drop to reorder it. You can duplicate and modify it, and there's a validation will be in place as well. Any archive fields or not used fields will be hidden from the user on the UI, but you will be retaining them in exports because you will also have them used in the past. Maybe you don't want to use going forward. Some of the examples I can show you is one of the data type can be list field, whereby you can provide multiple options for the user to select multiple or just one. Another option that you have is a number field with decimals that can be entered, which can be used based on your use case. Date field, if you want to assign a different additional date in one of the objects, you can select a date. And the Boolean is for yes and no switch. For a simple example, if you have a sublease component, you can check box and say the user can click on yes if it applies. So like any other new feature that we bring on to our NLA, we have to have some configuration settings modified. So basically, when you want to use a form management, you will come on the financial org structure. On the main menu, we'll click on general setting, and here we have form management, which must be toggled to true in order for the options to appear on your main menu. Once a user has toggled on form management in the general setting under the FOSS, you'll be able to come on the main menu. Under the admin section, you will see form management as an additional option given to you. So once the user selects form option, it will provide you this screen whereby you have all the different objects, which is visible where you can add your UDFs. Under each object, you will see the different tabs that exist out of the box, which means you have the system defined objects right there, use the tabs right there. And under the three dots, you will see the details that's given underneath for the tab name. And then you can see that you are not able to delete. You can just view it. In case of the user-defined fields, you'll be able to view details, edit, duplicate, or delete it. You are able to edit SIM very easily by clicking this. Duplicating, you can have duplicated features of the UDFs, but you will have to modify them after that. And as well as you can only delete the ones that do not have a section or fields assigned to it or being used by another contract. So you're basically not being used by contracts as when you cannot delete them. You can only archive them. So in this example that I have clicked on regions, I have created two different sections underneath it. We'll see that we have a section called region name. So if you click on this, it shows you what are the field details that you would like the user to enter. So I have selected the name as region name. I have not assigned different labels to it. If you user have different languages, it will modify and change as and when required. Data type is list. I can show you another one and show you what are the different options that I have already shown you on the PowerPoint. You can make it a required field, means it's mandatory to reply. An open field means if you want to keep this editable after the contract is activated, you can modify this without running an event. So in the field setting, I have assigned these names, which will populate on the UI in this tab, as well as you have the visibility criteria, which means you can have a principal position for lessee or lessor. You can assign lease area, business unit, and companies. So as you can see, there's not an asterisk next to it like this one. So basically, that means that if you do not assign a particular criteria here, this field will appear in all the contracts under all the company codes that are in your system. So if you want it to be very specific to a company code or a lease area or a business unit, you can define it here. So as you can see, I'm able to archive this because considered archive if it has no fields or all fields are archived. So you can see under this section I have a field defined, therefore you do not see this icon. But under preparer I do not have any fields assigned, so I am able to archive it. Or if all the fields within a section is archived, you will be able to archive it as well from the UI. So if I want to show you quickly, if I click on prepare and I just type name, the language I'm leaving it as same, and then data type. This is what I had shown you on the PowerPoint, different options that you have that you can select. In this case, if I just want to have a list of names, it could be a list that it's already predefined. You can write a number or a string. So for example, I can make it mandatory and maximum length can be 20, and I would like it to be assigned for lessee, and this area can be assigned, and I can leave the rest empty if I want. If not, then you can go further, drill down your selection and include the company codes whereby you may want to have this field appear. So the first section is for the system, and the second section is here for the company code. So this is the system name is FINQ8S 300, and I can simply submit it. So as you can see, that validation is there. It does not require under a master agreement to assign a principal position. So you do not need this. Add a principal position, you can submit. And we just created a field where is under the prepare section now. So this is how you can create different user-defined tabs, and underneath the tab sections, and under the sections multiple fields that you may have. So same thing for the other objects. You're able to create separately on a tab UDF, or even an option that you have is that under the definition page you can create a section. So for example, if you click on definition and you want to have additional section underneath it, you'll be able to create it. So you see, under the contract definition page, you added additional section right there. So it will appear under the tab of contract definition page, which is out of box as well. So this is how you're able to manage your UDFs on the UI as an administrator. Then if you come on the form management, I created a sample contract just to show you. So I'm just going to refresh this and see if I have. So you see, I had created a unit type in bulk, and that's why it's showing me here. And under the lease component, I have these additional tabs, right? So if I just call this back, since it's defined status, going back on contract, I had entered initially just a date stamp. And if I recall this back, if you add any other additional tabs, it will appear right here. They will appear the additional tabs. You can have multiple tabs available for you on the UI. They are visible for you to navigate through. So as you can see, I had entered the date stamp and I put in a date which I assigned. And if it's a mandatory field, you will be required to enter it. So I think I put as a mandatory field as well as the checkbox here. And then you will be able to move on with the next step. So similarly, if I search for another form management, I think I created another draft. So I can go back to the manage master data and call this back because okay, I have a contract that exists, or these exist already, so I won't be able to. But you can see under the region as well, we have a region assigned. So you see, I have named the prepared that I just prepared the field list, the UDF with you. This is possible to manage, as in we could have left as an open field to be completed after, but since it's a mandatory field, it cannot be completed since it's already in active status. So that's how you can use the different UDFs, and they will also appear on the exports when you are exporting our contracts, different objects via Excel as well. They will be defined there as well. So if it's an active contract, you will be able to modify there and import it back in the solution as well. Profile consolidation. With this release, we are introducing you a unified profile system, which will allow users to have a consolidated profile, which can be used across multiple jobs and reporting modules as well. So why we have done it, it will eliminate the duplicate profile creation across jobs, people having same security profiles, enable profile sharing across users via security roles as long as the security roles assigned is identical. It will also improve usability and scalability as more jobs are introduced. So you'll be simply selecting one or creating one profile which can be used all across. Resolving inconsistency UX across profile systems. So making sure everything is identically required when you're creating the profiles going forward. So how will it be used? A user will be able to create one profile for multiple jobs using filter or targeted logic. Profiles will appear where inputs are only appear where inputs are valid, right? So that's how it's going to be. And admin define global profile fields, which can also be shared by security profiles. So enhanced UI for consistency, clarity, and security compliance. So I'll be able to show you on the UI now how we will be able to use the profiles consolidation in this release. On the main menu, we'll be seeing the profiles under batch management. And we'll be seeing under the profile reporting module. So the previous release we had for each job, we had a profile that had been included under each job, type of job. So operational posting had a profile of its own, mass indexation, and same for mass modification and workflow transition. So now what we have changed is that you only have profiles that will be consolidated level, which will be shown here. Upon clicking this, it will take me to a user auxiliary tab, which can also be accessed from the user preferences here. So just coming back to show you, when you are going to run an operational posting job, if you click on the jobs to create one and you click on the plus icon, the profiles are right here. So similar to what you already have, except you don't have to create a separate profile for each type of batch management jobs here. So you'll be using profiles, which is right here. And I'll be clicking on this now. So once you click on this, it brings you to the user auxiliary batch job profiles. So since we already had in the past different profiles created by different users for different types of jobs, all of that has been brought in here in the batch profile user auxiliary. It can be reused by other users for having the same security profile. Going forward, if your admins wants to create a profile which can be used by multiple users, and they want to keep a different profile name, have a different naming convention for that, you can do so. So you will see that all the profiles will be combined here, and any user with the same security profile will be able to use other members of that security profile as profiles that they have created. So I have to give an example. Before I go back, I'm going to show you that we also have the reporting profile. So for any of the reports under the reporting module, it can also be utilized in a similar manner. So I'll go back on the UI for NFS and show you how a user can search and quickly find the profile that matches. Though you can also see here, if I want to create a profile, run a batch job for a company code, say 1000, and if I type here 1000, it will show me the company code under the system FinQ87 8S, and I can select it and I can see which profiles I have available already. I need not to create one. So if I am looking for a profile for a company code 3001, so I can enter it and I'll be able to see if there is a profile available already by another user which was created under in one of the profiles. Will it match what I need? So you don't need to recreate it. So let me pick another one just to show you. So if I'm looking for company code 3003, okay. So if I need to run a batch job for a company code 3003 under the system Fin8S, I will have to create a profile in order to run the job postings, right? So this is how you can filter and validate here, but we can do the same thing on the UI as well. And I can show you how we can do that. Okay, so on the UI, if I want to run an operational posting job, you'll be coming to the main menu and selecting operational posting jobs, and I have to select what type of posting. I'm going to quickly select these dates so we can post them. And now I have to select one of the company codes that I was looking for. So if I'm looking for company code 3003, so as we said, if we select this, it will show me there's none of the profiles created. So I have to make sure I had created one in the user auxiliary. And then if I select company code 1000, I can see the different filters, the different profiles that are available to run that job. So I can pick and validate one of them. So for example, if you want to be very specific and have a lease area defined to it, so I can use one of these two profiles in order to run my job posting. I need not create a separate one of mine. As you can see, these were not created by me, and you can simply run your job. The same thing you can be doing on the batch posting, in the reporting module as well. Your profiles are already configured here. So if you need to run, say for example, a disclosure report or an activity analysis report, let's go in here. Let's start a disclosure report and show you. Okay, I don't have nothing yet done already, so you'll be able to see which profiles are available for other users that they have created already and which can be reused, right? So that is how we have introduced the consolidation of different profiles, and that can be reused. Next topic, UI UX. We have brought some enhancements on the UI UX where you'll be saving time and also be able to mitigate some errors, as well as enhance the user experience. So we have brought in term input fields for the lease component definition page, where it can do initial calculation for your end date calculation. What it means is you'll be able to either enter the RU start date and just number of terms per month or days to auto calculate the RU end date, or you can continue to enter the start and the end date, and the system will calculate for you the number of month and days for the term. Next is all system filter, which is now enabled for disclosure reports and activity analysis report. So in reporting profiles, we have added the system filter now, which will support all and multi-select in disclosure activity analysis report. Improved default behavior for fair market value and unit, as well as salvage value for per unit. So what we have brought in now is that fair market value unit and salvage unit, these both will be automatically pre-filled with a default value of 0 in case you don't use this feature at all. And if you do have a value, you can definitely very easily, you can just override the $0. New warning dialogues for high impact mass jobs. So what we are doing is now whenever you have a very heavy load of a job with the postings, and it can take a bit longer time, this system is going to give you a warning, and this gives you a pop-up dialog. Okay, so we're going to see how we have brought in the term input fields on the lease component level. So as you can see, we have a start date and end date, and right now all of these three are populated. So if I want to just remove the RU end date to show you an example, a user can come and just enter the RU start date, and if they know the contract has 24 months, they can enter 24 months, which will be December 31st, 2025, or if it's 36 months. So you can come and enter 36, and you can remove the one number of days, so you can have 0 days. So you can see the system will auto-populate for you the RU end date. Obviously, this feature doesn't have any financial impact. It's just to show you how we have brought in for you to have the option of either entering the number of days, if the contract says so, it's just easier to use, or put a RU end date. So in this case, if we remove all of them, and the system automatically calculates the date, the number of days for you, right? So if it's a 1-year contract, you put December 31st, 2024, the system will put it automatically for you. So that's the term input field that we have introduced as well. And same way we have the contract and term date, which I had explained in the previous few slides. Next, we have all system filter enabled for disclosure reports. So as also I just showed you recently that we have now the profile set up, which gets automatically selected for all the users. So for example, if I come now the profiles have been made so that you can actually include the ERP system. So either you can have filter 1, or you do not have to have a profile which does not have any filter assigned to it. So this example that I had created is for one company code, and it has one specific ERP system assigned to it. So in this example, we see one, but now we have the feature which was not before, that you can run disclosure reports for all the systems all together. Next, we have the fair market value field that will get also auto-populated. So the fair market value per unit and the salvage value per unit, you can see these are auto-populated for you if you're not using the feature, so you don't need to manually come and enter, since these are mandatory fields. So if it applies 0, it will appear automatically. And that's the changes we have brought in the UI UX for you for this release. Next is we have on our general ledger the option of reversing a journal voucher. So now we previously only had option to only post a journal voucher. Now user can actually have a reversal. So what we have done is you can click on reverse and provide a date whereby you can have the automatically, once the journal voucher is posted in the current period, you're assigning to have a reversal date on the UI, and the solution will post it automatically, means to reverse the journal voucher you're creating in the current period, it will be reversed automatically in the next period. So this will help you to reduce any manual efforts and mitigate risk of error in financial adjustments that you're doing at a month end time, and to in order to keep an also a clear audit trail, which will improve your accuracy in reporting. So on our Nakisa General Ledger landing page, you will have the option here to create a journal voucher on the top right, and you can complete these sections as required per your case that you may have. But now we have an option of automatic reversal. So upon clicking this, you will have a reversal posting date, a reversal document date, as well as reversal reason. So you'll be able to post your automatic reversal using this automatic reversal feature. So that's how it'll work in our next release, the upcoming release that's been coming. Journal voucher enhancements, so improving your usability, traceability, and consistency. What we have brought you is an enhancement to streamline the journal voucher experience, ensuring audit readiness, improve consistency with other modules, which will include redesigning your journal voucher creation, display, integration into the ledger transactions landing page. So what we have brought is we have eliminated duplication and aligned with journal vouchers workflow with ledger transactions, improved audit trails with clear metadata. You can see the creator, approver, and timestamps on the UI, as well as to increase efficiency by auto-filling common fields and improving error validation. So how is it used? So now you will see that the view of a transaction has journal vouchers has been changed, and everything appears on the landing page similar to what we have in other modules for the ledger transactions view. You can now also choose between the cost center and WBS when defining a journal voucher. Previously, it was only WBS. Now we also have a journal voucher name, which is a required field. Basically, we also helps this elimination of duplication because of this. And notes added to a journal voucher are now visible at all times. As I said, now in the previous version, so you did not have a journal voucher name, and now you will have the journal voucher name on the top right here. And it also has an automatic reversal, which I showed you not too long ago, and you can select between cost center and work breakdown structure, the WBS. So if I close this and I show you here, this is how your landing page will appear when you log into our SAP hosting bot or the general ledger module, and you'll be able to have create journal voucher from here. Also, we have brought in the columns for the journal voucher name and journal voucher state, so that you can see and you can move these columns from left to right as you may please from using the functionality right here, that you can be able to move them and they will reconfigure the columns for you. So again, this slide is just basically reminding you of what I just told you, what I showed you shortly, that you'll be able to see on the landing page now on the general ledger module, similar to what you have in other modules that we have for Nakisa Lease Accounting and Nakisa Lease module as well. So you can see that now you can actually filter everything on the left column. You have much more options to play around, and as well you can export the file from here. So that concludes the presentation for the 2025 R3 release. And if you have any questions, feel free to use our help center on the solution itself, as well as you can email me on ruchika.moga@nakisa.com. Thank you very much for your time and have a nice day.